Hey guys, it is Courtney from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and I'm super excited today to talk to you about the Virgo New Moon that's happening on August 23rd. I also wanted to mention that I'm sorry I missed the latest or the last full moon because things have been really crazy. I'm assuming that they're crazy for everyone now that Uranus has moved into Gemini. I feel like things are just changing a lot and they're very dynamic and fast moving, especially since I'm a Gemini sun. And I'm curious if you guys have noticed that too. If you have, let me know in the comments down below. But that changeable, dynamic, erratic energy is going to be really prominent during this Virgo new moon. And that's because this new moon is making an almost exact square to Uranus. So, which you can see here, the moon is at 0 degrees Virgo and Uranus is at 1 degrees of Gemini. So this is super significant because, we're also going to have 2 new moons in Virgo within 1 month. And this is pretty rare. It doesn't happen all the time. And I really feel that this is so significant because of this dynamic energy with Uranus. It represents that so much is going to be changing. But it also kind of shows the opening and closing of a chapter, and it's not quite so cut and dry as that, but there is an opening point and a closing point with 2 new moons happening in Virgo. The reason I say that is because this moon happens at 0 degrees of Virgo, and then the next new moon, which is going to be on September, I believe 21st, and that's going to be an eclipse, is going to take place at 29 degrees of Virgo. So that's the very first degree of the sign and then the very last degree of the sign. And it has some type of, again, beginning and end quality here, where we're going into a situation where we're kind of being, stripped bare with this 0 degrees Virgo, where we're having a brand new, relationship with Virgo topics, and I'll get into all of what this means, but it's almost like you're being born and you're first experiencing something, and then by the end of the month at this eclipse on the 21st of September, we're at the final degrees of that sign where we're kind of being put to the test and we're needing to implement something really quickly or learn very fast in a way that is going to harken back to what happens now at this new moon on August 23rd. So basically, I think that these 2 events are mirroring each other, but what's happening is we're kind of starting off as a newbie, and then we're going to be having pressure applied to us and have the catalyst that's happening now is going to be, again, put to the test, or we're going to ask to apply something that we've learned during this initial moment. So that might not make any sense at all, but I'm going to start explaining it all step by step, and then hopefully you guys will understand what I mean by this, and we'll kind of come back to this idea. So 0 and 29 degrees are critical degrees of astrology. And 0 degrees represents this kind of new energy in regards to that sign and a naivete in regards to it as well. So Virgo is the sign that is associated with refinement, with health, with perfecting something or improving something. And in the body, it is in charge of the process of discrimination, where it will see, with our food, for example, we'll kind of sort through the food and we'll see, okay, this is useful. We're going to further this in the digestion process. And then this needs to be thrown out of the body or excreted or gotten rid of in some type of way. So there can be some type of catalyst experience. And I say that because this is a yod, and also this new moon is squaring Uranus, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But there's a lot of pressure being applied at this new moon to suddenly burst forth into a period of refining some area of our lives. But because it's at 0 degrees, we're so new to this realization or this truth, to this, to what needs to be healed or refined, that it is going to be kind of disorienting, and we might not know how to make the most of it at this particular moment in time. But I'm hoping that when we get to the eclipse in Virgo, the solar eclipse on September 21st at 29 degrees, that we will be given, again, the chance to kind of put to the test some of the things that we've learned and finally feel like we have something to show for the things that are being stirred up now and the realizations and changes that we're making as a result of those things being stirred up. So again, I hope that makes sense. I know I say that a lot. Somebody mentioned in the comments, like, you always say that. And I just feel like it doesn't actually make sense. But okay. Anyway, so let me go on with this Virgo new moon. So I mentioned that this is a yod. This is kind of hard to see. I don't even know if you can truly see it. Let me see. Yeah, you can sort of see it here. So it's not as strong in this chart, or like the lines are not as strong between Pluto and the new moon. So essentially a yod is a quincunx between, the new moon here and the Saturn and Neptune, and then the new moon and Pluto. And it makes this kind of triangle. And then these two planets, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, are connected by sextile. So it looks like this. Again, it's kind of hard to see in this chart in particular. I almost feel like it'd be worth just removing everything else for a second, so you guys can really get a sense of what a yod looks like. So let's just go for all of it. Okay, so this is what a yod looks like. And this is called a finger of God. I'm sure that some of you guys have this in your chart natally, but it represents some kind of fated signature. And to me, when I see quincunxes, these represent aspects that are, between planets that they have nothing in common, and they can create some kind of psychological disturbance because they represent almost like two different areas of our life causing friction and us maybe not always realizing it. And so when we have a yod and they're aspected, or in this case, when a new moon is taking place in the formation of a yod, we can have some kind of moment of crisis or some kind of, again, fated event that gets triggered that awakens these unconscious dynamics that are going on in our lives. And it can ask us to make certain adjustments that are uncomfortable, where we might have to make certain sacrifices or have certain realizations that are disquieting. So the breakdown of this yod, I really see this as a kind of purification process, because to me, that's what Virgo is. It brings things back to its base elements, and it helps us see what is at the core of something, especially because Pluto is involved, and Pluto is all about that as well. It's kind of about drilling down to what something really means to us, or what the truth is for something. So when Pluto quincunxes this new moon, to me, it goes through a process of having to reach some kind of state of healing and purity and refinement, which is Virgo, by having to face hard truths, shadow elements of our lives, certain darkness or things that need to be purged and removed from our lives, in order for us to, again, kind of fix or clean up our lives, align ourselves with what we're meant to be doing, or perfect or improve something. So, it's, for example, if you realize, like, Virgo, you want to lose weight, you want to be healthy, that's a very typical Virgo topic. Maybe you recognize that there is a toxic pattern that you haven't been really conscious of with Pluto, and you recognize that you need to face some of these shadows that have you turning towards certain foods or lifestyle habits. Or maybe it's even something else in your life that is adding toxicity, but it's coming out in the way that it's affecting your health. And so Pluto is about kind of purging that toxicity and coming to a place of purity with the Virgo new moon. So that's one aspect of the yod. The other aspect is the quincunx between Saturn and Neptune, which are pretty much conjunct. They're not exact. And I've been talking a lot about this aspect because it's been going on all summer, which is why the summer has probably been difficult for a lot of people, or the world in general, because Saturn and Neptune together are challenging planets to have in, cahoots. So these planets, when they're involved with each other, they can have us come to a crisis of existential beliefs, where we have to shift our core beliefs about something. We can no longer look at things the same way or approach things the same way in our life. We can't just continue to see things through the same eyes in order to be happy, right? Or in order to be healthy. Things bubble up to the surface in this faded way, which is the yod, where we are kind of forced in a way to lose faith in something or to show or be seen our own naivete or even delusion that we've been in some type of way, so that we can face the realness of a situation from an empowered and clear place. So both of these planets are a lot around kind of divulging truths, but they do it from a different angle. One is more about the revelation of shadow, which is Pluto, like seeing things that were maybe invisible, but dark, that were influencing you to make certain decisions or be involved in certain toxic situations. And then Saturn and Neptune are more so, I built my life on this belief system. I always thought that people were like this, or that I was like this, or my health was like this. And I'm recognizing that none of that is true now. That was naive, or that was me not looking at the situation clearly. And now I'm forced to come up with a new belief system. So very similar in their ultimate outcome, which is why they're both impacting this new moon and kind of targeting it in a way. But they have different approaches. So again, Virgo is about refinement, improvement, purity, and health. So that is the ultimate goal of why these planets are applying pressure, why these events are transpiring in a faded way. And so it's important for us to be honest with ourselves, especially around our own contribution to things. Because I think Virgo, they can be very self-critical. And at the core of that is an ability to take personal responsibility for the behaviors that you have or the outcomes that you have in your life. And so while there is a lot of potential for external events and things of that nature to transpire right now, at the core of it is, how can I live a healthier, more pure life? And what is going to happen now is going to show you what is standing in the way of that. And I mentioned that this moon is squaring Uranus. So let me bring all the other planets back. And, it is disruptive when we have a new moon square Uranus. It can make us feel like we are going down one path, and then all of a sudden an event happens or a realization happens and we decide to just turn right. So we're going straight and then we just do a 90-degree turn to the right, or that we jump timelines in some way where we think we're headed in this direction at this pace, and then all of a sudden we accelerate into a totally new timeline or new reality. And so it can feel disorienting anytime we have a new moon square Uranus. And this can be something that we choose for ourselves, where we're like, okay, I'm going to make this huge pivot in my health. I'm not going to eat this way. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and choose better for myself overnight. That would be a Uranus square to the new moon. Or it could be something else, where something catches you off guard, something pulls the rug out from under you, or changes your perception of things because of how sudden an event was. And it has this kind of shocking quality to it, where, again, it's trying to reorient you into a new reality, a new timeline, a new path, but in such a sudden and dramatic way that it can be kind of disorienting and disturbing to the system. But it's very dynamic. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this recording, it is also indicating that not only are you set onto a new path or a new timeline, but it's from that point on, you are going to move a lot quicker on this new path. So for example, if you say, okay, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to change my diet tomorrow, you make those lifestyle changes really quickly, and then you notice that you're getting results really fast, or you start to have a bunch of different things of your life change all at once, because you set off one thing into motion. So there's this feeling of things picking up speed in a way that might even scare you a little bit, but like in a positive sense. But the scary aspect, I think, comes from the fact that this moon is squaring Uranus, and squares involve some level of tension and anxiety. So even though you might want these changes, or you might be able to embrace changes that were thrust upon you, I do think that there is some element of resistance there at the end of the day that is rubbing up against you, or there is something difficult about this change or uncomfortable about this change in general. one of the uncomfortable parts of this new moon is the fact that Venus is squaring Chiron and opposite Pluto. So Venus is a planet that is very much related to our appearance, our confidence, our values and our self-value, our money, and our relationships. So those specific areas are kind of going through a moment of crisis right now. So maybe some of you guys are feeling like you're really alone and you've been wanting to date for a really long time, and it's bringing up a lot of feelings of insecurity. Or maybe you guys feel like you are not reaching certain milestones within your financial life and it's causing you a lot of anxiety and fear. Or maybe you guys are having issues in current relationships that are bringing up, things of kind of like your fears, basically, because that's what Pluto and Chiron do. They bring up your fears or your triggers or your sensitive points, and they make you kind of have to deal with difficult dynamics with people. Or maybe you're having that in terms of your own relationship with yourself and your appearance and your self-worth, and you are going through a little bit of a kind of crisis around your appearance or your self-worth. So whatever it is, it's bringing some level of challenge to those areas of life. And what it's doing is it's creating enough friction and discomfort in order for you to look again at the shadows that were always going on there and look at what needs to be rebuilt and how you are being forced out of your comfort zone in order to rebuild it. So if we're continuing with the health example, if you decide I'm going to change my life overnight, I'm going to start eating better, I'm going to start fixing this area of my life, this would be prompted with Venus opposite Pluto and square Chiron. This would be prompted by you maybe having this kind of crisis where you're trying on your clothes and you're like, wow, I look really bad. I feel really insecure. And maybe you walk outside and you're looking around and you're seeing people that look better than you and you're comparing yourself, or you want to put yourself out there for something, but you don't feel confident to. And it brings up this kind of crisis internally that again prompts that dramatic change in your life. And that crisis is asking you to, again, rebuild in a way that's going to get out of your comfort zone. So maybe before you had a well-worn path or pattern where you would always turn to food for comfort, or maybe you would always eat a certain type of food because that's what your family ate growing up. Or maybe you just lived a kind of sedentary lifestyle and you were comfortable in that. And maybe you felt uncomfortable going to the gym and being around other people working out or whatever it is. And it's having you kind of ripped out of that through sheer level of being unhappy with something, or with something being disrupted in your life, that's not part of your choice. Like if somebody said something to you like, oh, you look really fat, and then you're freaking out in your head. So it's like it can be prompted from externally or internally or both. And it can send you into a crisis, but enough to get you out of the comfort zone. So again, that you can rebuild in a healthier and stronger way. So I hope that this example is making sense, but it really can be applied to any area of your life. But the biggest thing here is that we're meant to be digging deeper into why this thing happened, or why we were unhappy with something, or why we are unsettled with something, and to see the truth of the situation. So if you are unhappy with the way that you look, or you're unhappy with, your confidence level or your self-worth, why is that also? But why were you, what caused you to be in that place? And was there something that you were running from in a way? Or another question is there some type of natural potential that you have not lived up to? And why haven't you lived up to that? So a lot of this thing is about kind of bringing back clarity and in ways and trying to look deeper into ways that we deceive ourselves, but also in the ways that others deceive us, because Venus opposite Pluto square Chiron can reveal truths and secrets from other people. So I said an example, maybe you're feeling okay about your body, and then someone tells you, something like, oh, you look like you've gained a ton of weight, you look bad, some kind of insult like that, where you're thinking, oh, this is how this person has always looked at me. This is something that has been secret and impacting us, and I didn't even know until now. And so things like that can be revealed where, we could have thought, oh, like my husband really loves the way I look. And then one day he just says some nasty comment that tears you down, and you have this a moment of awakening where you realize, oh shit, you've never really liked the way I've looked. Or maybe you did, but now you don't like the way I looked. So it's kind of like this breaking down of your reality in a way that it sends you into crisis to make some kind of change. So whatever it is, it's about facing the truth or the reality of something, again, that can be prompted from your own inner dialogue and from your own inner experiences, or from other people and external experiences that push you to that realization. But the end outcome is still the same, where we're being asked to embrace a sudden change in direction in a way that is going to help purify our lives and bring health into our lives and refine our lives in a way that is, I think, meant to be healing. So it's not just meant to like force us to make change, to lose a ton of weight, and maybe you take a bunch of pills or whatever to go on a diet. It's not about that. It's about the process of healing and purifying. So what did that comment from your husband mean to you? How did that affect you? Did you already believe that? Where did that come from within yourself if you did believe it? And healing that along with making the lifestyle changes to grow in confidence. So I hope again that this is all making sense. And so the kind of inciting incident here is that we're having some kind of like breakthrough or some massive change, some kind of sobering clarity happen as a result of this new moon and this yod and this square to Uranus. And then on the eclipse on the 29th, I think that this is going to somehow be materialized or put to the test or actualized in some way. So if you decide at this point that you have this shocking revelation, you're like, I really need to heal my self-worth and my body image issues, this situation right now is going to prompt some changes in regards to that. But on September 21st, during the eclipse, new moon in Virgo or solar eclipse, you're going to have some kind of up leveling in regards to that, or some kind of test in regards to that, or something that's requiring you to put more effort or more emphasis into something. And it's interesting because 29 to kind of 30 degrees of Virgo, the Sabian symbol for that is somebody that is totally intent on completing an immediate task. A man is deaf to any allurement. So there's something about this where we are meant to be head down, totally focused on the thing that we're meant to be doing, not distracted, not pulled off course, not allowing other people or other things to pull us back to an old timeline or to an old perspective, to where we're meant to be completely solid in this new reality that we've built for ourselves or seen for ourselves, to be totally committed to these changes and these, healing practices or refinement practices of our life, and to not, again, be thrown off course in any way by things from the past creeping up. So again, I think that there's a really strong element here of keeping your head down and focused on the things that we're implementing at the start of this new moon here when we get to the end of September. So it's that test period where it's like, are you committed to these changes? We're going to put this to the test in some kind of way. So yeah, I hope that, like I said, I hope that all makes sense. I feel like that was kind of like wordy, but yeah, I guess the last thing I'll mention is that Venus is also making a trine to Saturn and Neptune. And to me, I like this because I feel like it's really telling you that there are people in your life that you can lean on, especially with Jupiter in Cancer, which is a sign it loves to be in, is a very social sign, and Venus in the same sign as well. There's a very social element to these planets together. So it's really, to me, saying that there are certain relationships that are going to be very stabilizing for you. So there may be some people that really disrupt you, and then other people that you can really turn to lean on, family, friends, people that are going to be unwavering in their support for you, therapists that can show you kind of like a better way to think about things, or, maybe things go really well with like your colleagues and it's a good outlet for you to distract you. Whatever it is, there's other relationships in your life that are going to be supporting your stability. And I guess the other piece of advice based off of some cards I was pulling is, at this point with this new moon squaring Uranus, it's a time to jump in 100%. That all or nothing mentality is important here. We're supposed to be all in. And if there is anything hurting you or challenging you in this path, know that that's not meant to stop you from committing to it 110%. And that we're meant to be, again, kind of head down, focus on what the priorities are, healing and refining and improving our lives in some kind of way. And we'll put that to the test again in September 21st at that Virgo solar eclipse. So that's the overview. Please let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into what this looks like for all of the signs. All right, up first we have Aries, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this Virgo new moon happening on the 23rd is taking place in your 6th house. And this is a house of work and productivity and health. So you guys might be feeling a little bit more pressure right now around your ability to produce things really quickly. And I'm seeing this because I did pull some cards answering some questions that I kind of set up in the intro, the overview of this new moon. So one of the things that I think is the goal of this new moon is to purify, heal, or refine some area of our life. For you guys, I pulled the 8 of Wands in reverse. So this is a card that talks about things being slower, opportunities not coming to full fruition, or things just like taking a while to progress in a specific direction. So with this new moon in the 6th, you might feel like you are less productive, or you are not, doing as much work as you should, or maybe you are, but it's not producing all the results that you want. Or you're really trying to push something forward and you're getting frustrated at how slow it is. And one of the reasons for that is because Saturn is in your sign right now, and Neptune. And these can have a kind of dawdling, slowing down type of effect on our lives, where we might feel like we're a bit wandering, or it's just harder to produce certain results. So you could be growing a little bit frustrated with yourself or anxious about something, almost like this impatience, which is a common Aries kind of experience, especially if you have planets in Aries as well. So some of you guys might need to purify, heal, or refine your relationship with kind of productivity, efficiency, speed, and the way that things get done and the timing that things get done by. So I also pulled another set of cards for the question, who or what is hurting you? Because we do have Venus during this new moon opposing Pluto and squaring Chiron. And I will say that is a bit difficult of a placement to have in general, especially during a transit. So Venus for you is in your 4th house. It's opposing Pluto in your 11th and squaring Chiron in your 1st. So when I asked, who or what is hurting you, I got the 9 of Wands card and then the 9 of Cups card. This is interesting because I feel like these cards really have totally polarized types of meanings from each other. So the 9 of Wands to me is a card of like suffering. It says resilience, but to me it's somebody who has to remain in something even when it's uncomfortable and they're ready to leave. And then the 9 of Cups is a card that speaks to our wishes fulfilled and things coming easily to us and flowing in a way that feels really emotionally fulfilling. So you have one where you're not getting the results quickly, and then another where they're coming like to you like that. So to me, this represents a little bit of this dichotomy with Venus in the 4th opposite Pluto, which is in your 11th, but I kind of also see it like in the 10th. But anyway, so to me, this is like the dichotomy of the wish versus the reality, and how that is causing you pain and suffering. Of I'm currently in this period of having to endure, to be resilient, to keep going. And it's contrasting really greatly with my desire to just have this thing fulfilled in this moment. And that could be causing insecurity for you, doubt, uncertainty, fear, all those things, especially fear, because Pluto and Chiron love to play on our insecurities and fears. So I really feel like this is an internal process, and that makes sense for Venus being in the 4th house, which is an internal house related to our emotions. So I think that you guys are causing yourself unnecessary comfort by focusing so much on the wish, the goal, the desire, because where you're currently at isn't quite there yet. And it's causing more friction as you're resisting where you're currently at. Okay. Then the last question I have is, what truth is being revealed? Because this new moon is making a quincunx to Pluto and Saturn and Neptune. And to me, both these planets are trying to reveal some type of uncomfortable truth to us so that we can improve some area of our life. And in this, I got the King of Pentacles in reverse and then the Ace of Wands upright. So I think part of what you guys are being shown right now is how there might actually be a lack of commitment to something, or a lack of time spent doing something, or like discipline with something, with the King of Pentacles in reverse. With the Ace of Wands, I think that you'll be shown right now that it's easier for you to be in the energy of something new, to be swept up in something exciting, to feel alive when something is like an inspiration and an idea and at the start of it. But I think that you'll discover maybe uncomfortable truths about yourself, about how things feel when you are in the messy middle of it, or when you're going through the trials and tribulations of it, or when something requires a lot of consistency and discipline from you and sacrifice for what you want. It could also be that you just are recognizing the truth around your discomfort at like the pace of things as well, because the King of Pentacles is going to be slower, so than the Ace of Wands. It's slower to have to create and build something in with your hands versus having an idea. And that's the essence of these cards, is that it can feel like I don't know, I could just see you having some realization that maybe I need to shift how I am or what I believe or what I expect, because I'm more interested in the passion of being in the beginning of something than, and I can idealize the end and want that, but it's like the actual reality of getting there is not as attractive. And because of that, I feel like you guys are having this kind of struggle in that slowdown, because that's often reality, is it will slow you down and make you go through each and every step in order to gain something. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's something here around having patience, having discipline, having dedication, and realizing that you maybe need to develop more of that muscle and comfortability in the exertion of things rather than focus on the excitement of the final goal. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Aries. I hope that this is helpful, and I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. If this is helpful, please comment down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Taurus rising and sun. So this Virgo new moon for you guys is happening on August 23rd in your 5th house. And I'm going to break this reading down into a series of 3 questions that I pulled tarot for that relates to the overall meaning of the configuration of this new moon. So we're going to start off with a question of what the Virgo new moon represents to me, which is what needs to be purified, healed, or refined in your life right now. And I pulled the 7 of Wands in reverse. So to me, this is you guys giving up on something, or lacking courage and self-belief in something, lacking follow-through, and maybe feeling like a little bit burnt out or scared to kind of put yourself out there. This makes sense for a 5th house new moon, where we are being required to kind of put a part of ourselves on display in some type of way, maybe something that we've created or something that we really want, or something that we are proud of ourselves for. We're meant to be putting it on display for people, but there's something around that that's not going right. Maybe you're proud but also doubtful, or maybe you want to put it on display but you're not actually doing it, or maybe you need to really believe in yourself but you're kind of questioning, like, am I good at this? And can I be confident? Maybe there's some path that you wanted to go down, but you are kind of giving up or admitting defeat before you even really get started on it. So this is basically a lot around confidence. I think that's kind of what this is trying to say. My next question is, who or what hurt you? So we have the 5 of Wands. So this could be a number of things, but the 5 of Wands, like it says on here, is a card of competition. It's also a card of relationship discord, and Venus is opposite Pluto and squaring Chiron, and Venus is your planetary ruler. So some stuff could be going on within relationships right now that could be causing you to kind of get in your head, especially if people are making comments, or if you're reading stuff on social media, you know, things like that, I think could get in your head a little bit. But regardless, what this is talking about is there's some type of competition where maybe you're meant to put yourself out there in some way, but you're looking around, you're like, look how good everybody else is, and it's bringing up those insecurities within you. Or maybe you have a particular viewpoint on something, or something that you want to do, or some unique approach to something, and other people are clashing against what you think is right, and it could be causing some inner discord and like a desire to kind of just give up and fold in on yourself, you know? So for example, if you're a creative and you wanted to put a book out there, and you've been working on this book and you've been so excited, and then all of a sudden you get a beta reader and they just tear it to pieces. And you start looking around and you start reading other books, and you're like, all these other books are amazing. I'm not a good writer. Look at what that person said. I shouldn't even do this. You know, what was I thinking? That's the kind of energy of this new moon, although it's quite dramatized, but you guys might be going through some of that right now. And my last question is, you know, what are you meant to be? What are you meant to be seeing? What is the truth being revealed to you? And this is coming from the fact that this new moon is making a yod and quincunxing Saturn and Neptune, as well as Pluto, which are planets that tend to reveal some kind of truth or reality to us. So what's the truth and reality that you need to see? So we have the Sun in reverse and the High Priestess in reverse. This is a card of clarity and then of intuition. So there's something about this process that's revealing to you that you guys are not trusting yourself right now. You are allowing yourself to have other information, or other people, or even just like internal doubts from one part of yourself that is like trying to maybe protect yourself. You're allowing those sources of information to disconnect you from your inner light, from your inner clarity, from your strength and knowledge of yourself and your intuition around what you want to do. So there's some kind of blockage here, either around the crown chakra or the third eye or the solar plexus, where you might feel that the confidence to move forward is not there. The clarity or connection to spirit is not there. So if you were that author in this example, this would be you feeling like you go to sit down and write and nothing comes out because you're just blocked creatively. And it's not because you don't have access to that creativity. It's because of the fears and the voices and the, you know, looking at the competition, all this is getting so in the way that it's muddying up the waters, and not allowing you to see clearly as a path forward. So the truth that's being revealed to you is that you are allowing yourself to become disconnected from your inner source of clarity, from your confidence and from your intuition. And you know, this new moon is about the healing around that, the refinement of that, the purifying of that, so that we don't just unconsciously keep this cycle going. So that's what I see for you, my Taurus. I hope that this resonates. If it does, let me know in the comments down below. And, you know, just know that you guys are very worthy, and this is absolutely your time to shine. Even though this new moon might feel a little bit challenging, you know, opposing Pluto, squaring Chiron, know that those fears and insecurities don't have to actually stop you from making moves forward, and they're just momentary blips in time. So I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Again, comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Okay, I said that. Okay, bye. All right, up next we have Gemini, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this Virgo new moon is happening in your 4th house of home and family. So this is about purifying, healing, and refining some area of our life. And this is coming through the area of home, family, and emotions. So I did pull 3 sets of cards here, kind of going over 3 important questions that this new moon is asking us. The first is, what needs to be healed? And it's interesting because I got the Star card, which is actually the card of healing. In this card, it says rejuvenation, but that's really the same thing. There's a sense of needing to kind of have hope again and come back to yourself after a loss or change or defeat in some type of way. After maybe something didn't go your way, or just some area of your life that needs to be healed emotionally, and maybe even physically. So yes, having like a renewed hope, feeling like something is possible for you. And then we have the Hermit in reverse, which is also speaking to the same thing. And this is a card about isolation, loneliness, relationship stuff. So in particular, this healing is talking about healing in general, but because these cards came out together, what is being healed or refined for you is some type of healing around relationship issues that needs to happen. If you've been too lonely, it could be about that. If you've been antisocial, it could be about that. If you have fear of relationships, could be about that. If you're paranoid about certain things, it's about that. Regardless, this new moon is going to bring stuff up that causes you to to ask what needs to be healed here in relationships. And squaring Uranus in the first house. So you could have some pretty big changes in your life circumstance. You could have changes in your living situation, who you live with. You know, my brother had a roommate and then they just moved out. So it's kind of like that and he's a Gemini rising. Or you could be, you know, looking for a new place to live. There could be fundamental changes like that, or changes within your family dynamics, like somebody, you know, getting a new step parent or something of that nature, having a new birth in the family, some fundamental things that can shift you where you need to start kind of healing things within yourself again, especially when it comes to, you know, who do I live with, or how are my relationships? Do I feel like I have a good balance between my alone time and my connections with others? Things of that nature can be themes and topics that come up at this time. This new moon, you know, it's having some painful things happen because it's squaring Uranus, and because Venus is opposing Pluto and squaring Chiron, there's this element here of maybe having some issues come up. And I asked the question next, like, what is the thing that is the issue coming up? Who or what is hurting you? I got the 9 of Cups, which is a wish fulfillment card. So to me, the thing that's hurting you is something that you thought was a wish being fulfilled, or something that was fulfilling something for you emotionally, may turn out to leave your life or disappoint you in some way. So you were maybe kind of banking something on this wish and then it gets taken away. Or maybe you are being hurt by the fact that you really, really want something and it's not there. So, you know, it's like, I really want to have this relationship or this connection, but I've been really lonely for a long time. Stuff like that. So it's about kind of seeing what you have either be taken away, or seeing what you want and it being not in your hands. So that is difficult. I'm sorry, Geminis. So my other point here of this new moon is what truth is being revealed, because this new moon is quincunxing Saturn, Neptune, and quincunxing Pluto, all planets that can help us kind of come to a sobering realization of reality. And I got for you guys the Hangman in reverse and the Knight of Pentacles also in reverse. So the Hangman in reverse can represent the realization of either certain things that you've been stuck in. So like you haven't been growing, and maybe in a certain way, or maybe you've been repeating negative patterns, or you've been really detached or too attached to maybe the wrong things. So the Hangman represents this kind of like almost like a passive role in our lives where we're maybe not realizing how we're playing out some things on autopilot. And then the Knight of Pentacles in reverse can represent somebody who is kind of like not putting in the effort for something. There is a lack of stability or a lack of responsibility for something, like a weakness, especially when it comes to doing the thing, you know, implementing something, making a behavioral change. You know, maybe there is like a laziness there, or just a lack of follow through with something. So what I'm seeing with these cards is like a realization at how you might have been almost like a passive player in your life, how you might have been living out certain, you know, patterns that you've been involved in for a while that is not allowing you to grow, that is stagnating you, or that you could have put more effort into something to make something happen for yourself. So let's say this is like a social example. Let's say you're needing to heal like loneliness, and you see the relationships that you want, but they're always out of reach. Maybe you start to recognize your role in that and how you haven't been reaching out, or you haven't been trying, or maybe you've been believing that like nobody wants me and this and that, because and that causes you to not take action. So there's something here where you're kind of realizing that I really didn't put all of my effort into that, and I could. And so I'm seeing you guys kind of come to this realization that is going to allow you to heal aspects of yourself and be more hopeful about what's possible for you. Because as you start to realize your agency in all this, it's going to give you the ability to like make the changes necessary to attract the things that you want in your life, especially relationship wise. So yeah, I just think that this is a healing on a very fundamental level for you guys, Gemini. I hope that resonates and is helpful for you. If so, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Cancer, Rising, and Sun. This new moon in Virgo for you guys is happening in the 3rd house. So you guys might feel a little bit more in your head, a little bit more anxious, because we are in a time where we're going to have quite a bit of energy activated here for you in the 3rd house, which is our mental faculties, our mindset. And this new moon is no different. It is receiving a quincunx from Saturn, Neptune, and from Pluto, which is going to reveal some truths for us. And it's also a bit disruptive because of the square to Uranus. So let's get into what all this means. So first of all, I pulled a card for the Virgo new moon. And the first question was that I pulled the card for was, what needs to be healed or purified? And I got the Ascension card, which is the World card in reverse. So this is a card that represents a feeling of a lack of ascending, a lack of moving up in our lives. Maybe we feel like we haven't succeeded with something. Maybe we feel like we haven't achieved something. We are maybe disappointed with like our level of like being good at something, or our level of completion with something. And so what needs to be healed and refined is your mindset around where you are at in life, or where you are at with a certain project or goal, or with something that you have an expectation around. And that is very much Saturn in the 10th house, where we can feel like, okay, let's get it on. I need to be, doing something better. I need to be hitting these milestones. And then the Virgo new moon is having you heal that mindset to realize that there is no pace. You aren't behind. So that's one of the biggest messages here. The second card was, what is hurting you? Who or what is hurting you? And we got the Fool card. So for some of you guys, you might be starting over. You might feel like you are a beginner at something. You might feel like you have barely made progress with something, or, like let's say, for example, you're in your mid 40s and you decide you want to get a divorce, or you want to start a new career path. That could bring up a lot of insecurities of, I should be here by this age, I should be accomplishing this, I should have this and that. And then what's hurting you is this mindset of being a beginner again, of the fear around that, the insecurity around that. And I can really see that because Venus is in your sign and it's opposite Pluto and squaring Chiron the 10th. So there's a lot of pressure of, you want to believe in yourself, you want to value yourself, you want to feel worthy, but these career pressures, these pressures from, insecurities or from worldly authorities are kind of bearing down on you and making you doubt yourself or kind of crumble under those pressures. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled with the Fool card, because this leap of faith that you're taking is going to enter you on a new path. And with this square to Uranus in the 12th, it is going to progress really rapidly. So even though it's a new path for you, or you might feel like you're at the start of something, or you haven't quite accomplished something yet, don't worry, because things are going to, again, escalate really quickly, so that once you do take this leap of faith, it will be rapid progress. And it might not be immediate, but things will be faster than you think they will be. So the truth that's being revealed to you guys with this quincunx from Pluto and from Saturn, Neptune is the Temperance card. So the truth and the reality that you need to see is that you might need to come back to more of a balanced approach. You need to be asking yourself, what is going to bring me a peaceful mindset? How can I act from a place of moderation? How can I keep hold of my perspective on life and where I'm at in life? How can I feel at peace with myself and who I am and what I've accomplished. That's the truth that you're going to kind of have to face right now, is why am I not in this balanced mindset that says just breathe? What is the thing that's taking away my breath and making me stressed or putting pressure on myself unnecessarily? And so you're going to start to see the truth of what is standing in the way of this inner harmony. And again, I think a lot of it is going to come from external, environmental or societal pressures that we are under. So yeah, I think that you guys are doing much better than you think you are. You guys are going to progress a lot faster. You guys are right on time. This fresh start is right for you. This new beginning is right for you, but you need to come from it from a more balanced and patient perspective, rather than trying to put unnecessary stress on what you're doing and where you are in life. So that's what I see for you, Cancer. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Leo rising and sun. This Virgo new moon happening on August 23rd is taking place in your second house of money. This is a disruptive new moon, and I could see some of you guys having some type of financial goal or some kind of career thing that you're involved with, or something that you thought was going to help stabilize you that might be taken away from you at this time or disrupted in some type of way. So this new moon, I asked a question: what needs to be healed, purified, or refined? Because that's what Virgo is. And I got the King of Pentacles, which is the wealth card, which is, makes a lot of sense with this being a second house new moon for you guys. And the second house is, of course, the house of money. So I got the wealth card and the Two of Cups in reverse, which is a partnership card. So to me, this does represent that there could be some kind of relationship or partnership or something going on with another person that it has ended or is not working out in some type of way. Maybe you in a company that you worked for, a contract that you had, maybe you worked with a friend, maybe you lived with a partner, but there's something going on here where you had a collaborative effort with somebody that is maybe not working in the way that you want it to, or doesn't have the long-term, sustainability to it, or something shifts within it that disrupts you. And with the wealth card next to it, this is what needs to be healed and refined is, how do I create financial stability without that thing or that person or that collaboration? So if I'm not working for that company, where do I get money? If I lost that contract, where else can I search for that? Or if I was living with a partner or with somebody and now they're moving out, well, how do I make rent on my own? That kind of thing, where it's a little bit more practical because this new moon is in your second house. But there's something here around, I relied on something or someone, and now that's kind of being taken away in some way. And that could also be because this new moon is quincunxing Pluto in the 7th, which is relationships, and also quincunxing Saturn and Neptune in the 9th. So I asked who or what is hurting you, and I got the opportunity card in reverse. This is the Ace of Pentacles. So to me, what's hurting you is that you are losing some kind of opportunity, that something is slipping through your fingers, that something didn't work out or materialize, that, again, that support that was supposed to be there is no longer there. So there's someone or something hurting you by something falling through. Maybe somebody made a commitment to you or promised you money that they're not giving you now. It can go on so many different directions, but there is something that you are relying on, likely financially, that isn't necessarily working out. And that has a lot to deal with this new moon squaring Uranus, which again brings a lot of kind of unexpected upheavals. So maybe you're like, oh, I can rely on that money coming in, and then all of a sudden it's not there. So what truth is being revealed? This is related to the quincunx from Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto to this new moon. But all three of these planets reveal some kind of reality, sobering truth to us. So what is that for you guys? Well, I got the Page of Pentacles, which is a skill development card. So to me, what this is indicating is that you guys are realizing that there's something that you need to work on. Maybe it's literally that you need to develop a skill. Maybe you need to get better at saving money or spend, how you spend money. Maybe you need to get better at a certain skill in the workplace that can help you make more money. But there's something here where you're noticing that you are, in a practical sense, deficient in some talent or some knowledge or some effort that is creating a vulnerability and a lack, because maybe you had to rely on somebody else who had that or who could fill in the gap somehow. And now that that's being taken away, you're being forced to be self-reliant in a little bit of a stronger way. So there's something about this where I think you guys are going to be kind of coming, like the thing that's being healed is that you're coming more into this place of empowerment with the King of Pentacles, where you are going to learn to stand more on your own 2 feet or get better at managing money. Like if you lived with a partner and they always budgeted, maybe you, after a breakup, have to do that yourself now. So whatever that is, I can see you guys coming into a place of being kind of more confident and stronger in the material world as a result of this new moon. But it might not feel like that at first, and it might take some time to get your bearings in this new reality. But ultimately, that's the goal here and what's being healed. And you are going to develop yourself more in the material financial world. So if that makes sense, Leo, let me know in the comments down below if that resonates. Don't forget to give me your thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, so up next we have Virgo rising and sun. This is a big deal for you guys because the new moon on October 23rd. The new moon on August 23rd is in Virgo, which is your sign, of course. And we're also going to have an eclipse on September 21st, also at 29 degrees of Virgo, which is in your sign. So you guys are going through quite a bit of changes these next 2 months, and you might feel that is reflected in this new moon because it is squaring Uranus, which has a kind of chaotic upheaval type of quality to it. And so your sense of direction with things, a lot can change. Let's just say a lot can change. So let's get started with the cards that I pulled. I have 3 questions based off of the overview around this new moon. The first is, what needs to be healed and purified? And I got the 7 of Pentacles. So for you, Virgo, you know, a Virgo new moon is about what needs to be healed and purified. And this is in your first house of self. So this could literally be about the body and needing to heal something about the body. But it could also be about yourself and like your place in the world and your achievements in life because of this card here. So the 7 of Pentacles is like a long-term goal that you have and things paying off in the long term and working really hard consistently to get to certain manifestations, careful planning, patience and perseverance, making sure that you stick with things that have, again, that require a lot from you over a long period of time, a lot of consistency and a lot of follow through. And it's interesting because this new moon squares Uranus in your 10th house. So there is some element here around maybe something shifting around your long-term plans. Like you always saw yourself in one particular way, moving in one particular direction. And this new moon might shake that a bit for you. And part of what needs to be healed and purified is, and maybe also some clarity coming to you, could be around, you know, who am I and what do I want with my life? And what is my long-term goals and what is happiness? And, you know, what should I be doing with my time? And, you know, is this thing worth it or is that thing more worth it? And kind of looking at yourself through a new lens and a new perspective. So that's one really important part of this. The second question that I asked the cards is, or spirit and the cards, is who or what is hurting you? Because I do think, you know, with Venus opposite Pluto, and Venus is in your 11th, opposite Pluto in your 6th, and then squaring Chiron in your 8th, we're all kind of being hurt by something right now to some degree. So someone or something is hurting you. And I got the Page of Cups, and then the Sun card in reverse. So to me, there's something here around, I feel like there's something here around our sense of like play and joy, which the Page of Cups is. This is almost like a card of like childhood innocence and ideals from childhood and things that we, you know, we always wanted as a kid and we always dreamed about. And then the Sun in reverse is seeing, like, introducing doubt into that. So maybe you've always had a long-term goal of, I want to be a teacher. Let's just say, I want to be a teacher. I want to be in high school and teaching kids, That's always been your long-term goal. Well, maybe at this new moon in Virgo, you would start to question, is that actually what I want? And it goes to this period of like disillusionment where you're like, I always wanted that as a kid. This was this dream, this ideal. But then the reality of it is that it's actually more pessimistic than the dream of it, the experience of being a teacher. Maybe you get into that field, you're up in the classroom, kids are making fun of you, kids are throwing stuff at you, parents are yelling at you, you're tired, you're not getting a lot of money, and this ideal that you had as a kid about being a teacher and making an impact in people's lives is grossly overshadowed by the negative, consequences of this type of career. And so there's something about this where you had a vision for your life around something that you thought you would go into, or something that you thought you would do somehow, like the person that you thought you would be, the person that you thought you'd end up with, romantically, or how you thought your life would manifest. And then this Virgo new moon is having you kind of look at that through new eyes and be like, actually, that isn't how life is. And that's not how my life is right now. And it doesn't live up to these ideals and expectations like I thought it would. And that can hurt. That can be a painful process. And then the cards after that is, what is a truth that you're seeing? After that, we have the Tower in reverse and the endings card, the 10 of swords. So there's something in your life that, as a result of realizing it's not what you thought it was, I don't know. It's almost like you guys are needing to end that path. Maybe you need to leave being a teacher, if that's the example we're going with. Or if you thought that you wanted to be with this person your whole life and you're like, actually, this isn't what it was all cracked up to be. Or I thought I always wanted to be married, and now that I'm actually married, or now that I'm seeing how marriage is for people around me, I'm like, that doesn't actually look that great. And so there's something here where you're like coming to this realization that you put something on a pedestal as a child through innocence, and it's kind of getting torn down, and you might still cling to that ideal a little bit. You might still want to go on that path because of the warmth that it can bring you. But this card is saying that there's some kind of truth being revealed now, that it's important to end the attachment to things being that way. Even if that means you still stay on that path, it could be just simply changing your expectations and your relationship with it. So, maybe you still decide to stay a teacher, but you no longer see it as this ideal that you're trying to make fit into that ideal. Instead, you decide that, okay, this is how teaching is. It's difficult in this way. How do I make this work for me? Maybe that means you go and you change schools, and maybe you teach a different subject, or you teach part-time and you do something else on the side, and you make it manageable for you. But whatever it is, it does involve some type of ending and some type of release or respect of the don't delay the inevitable, don't resist the change, which the upheaval card in reverse can show. So the truth that's being revealed is how you might be holding on to something that you don't want to change. And the 10 of swords is saying it is changing, it is ending, and that's okay too. So yes, that's what I see for you guys. This almost feels like a process of kind of growing up in a way. Like we've mentioned a lot since, the childhood reference of wanting something since you were a child, idealizing a type of life that you would have. And what needs to be healed is realizing that what is achievement, what is success, what is long-term happiness and stability is going to be maybe different than you originally thought it was. Maybe it's a new career path, a new type of relationship. Maybe it's you being single actually instead of married with kids. Maybe it's you, again, choosing some type of totally different goal for yourself. But whatever it is, it's going to help you in the end be a lot more happy and stable by not trying to hold on to something from childhood that felt like it was a dream. So that sounds really negative, but it's not. I think it's ultimately freeing and empowering, but it might be disruptive to kind of the direction that you're headed in. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. If that resonates, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm super, super curious about this one, because I am a Virgo rising and I feel like this is coming up for me, but I'm also not entirely sure how this is applying to my life yet. So I would also be curious if this is, if you're a Virgo rising, if you see this fitting for you and what that looks like. If you can give me examples down below, that would really help me. I'd really appreciate that. Don't forget to also like this video, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. All right, next you have Libra rising and sun. This Virgo new moon on August 23rd is taking place in your 12th house. So I'm going to break this reading down into 3 segments, 3 questions that I pulled tarot for that relates to the overview that we talked about. So first of all, the first question is, what needs to be healed, refined, or purified in our life? And that to me is what a Virgo new moon is about. So I got the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So to me, this is interesting because this new moon is in the 12th house, which is a very unconscious and one of the most invisible houses. There's a message here that's going to run through around visibility and prominence in some way. So with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, this could be that you have been living out unconscious patterns of being overly like subservient to people, or, you know, overly generous to people, where people can take advantage of you, for example. Or maybe you undervalue yourself at times and you get underpaid, or, you know, you put yourself last in a scenario. Maybe you're afraid to kind of dominate something or take up too much space. So there could be some type of pattern with that. It could also be that you're on the reverse of it, the other extreme, but I'm going to stick with this for now, that there is something where you've been maybe playing things small or accepting less than you deserve, or being so giving but not really getting that back. And again, feeling like you can't ask for it because if I do ask for that, then I'm not going to get it, or I don't deserve it, or whatever. And this is important because a lot of this new moon for you is going to bring up issues around relationships and self-worth and our fears within relationships and insecurities. Because as a Libra rising, Venus is your planetary ruler and it's opposite Pluto right now and squaring Chiron. So Venus is in your 10th right now. So there is something that's propelling you towards having more prominence, eminence, visibility, career success, you know, feeling like you're getting notoriety or feeling like you're getting the things that you deserve. But then with the opposition of Pluto and square to Chiron, you might feel like, oh, I'm not getting that, or I'm getting undercut, or I'm getting ignored, or it's just like I'm not getting the right back. I'm not getting what I give out back to me in that same amount. And so that's what needs to be healed at this Virgo new moon, because there is maybe some unconscious attraction to the cycle. So I asked, what is hurting you? Who or what is hurting you? I got the Six of Cups. To me, this is a childhood card. So, and you can see it says memories. So to me, there's something about our childhood that's playing in here, which is why I think it's so subconscious. There might be some dynamics from your childhood where it's playing out right now. So maybe you, I don't know, maybe you had a sibling and they got attention or priority over you, and you're kind of like playing that out. Or maybe you had a sick sibling, or, you know, someone in your family who needed you to be on your best behavior and not make noise, not make a problem because that kid or that parent was so sick, they needed all the attention. It doesn't have to be these examples. These are just like ways to illustrate how we can come into these kind of subservient roles where we're almost playing a non-main character, like a NPC in our own lives in some way, or where we accept less than what we deserve, or where we're scared to take up that space because maybe we were somehow taught that in some type of past relationship or in our family dynamics of some sort. So it's worth looking at your past, your childhood, or your old relationships. It doesn't have to even be that long ago. It could just be a year ago, or a traumatic event that happened, 6 months ago. But there's something of the past lingering around you that might prevent you from moving forward to kind of go after more of what you want in life and take up more space and ask for more in life. And it's worth looking at what exactly is causing that. The third question that I have is, what truth is being revealed to you? So this new moon is squaring Uranus in your 9th, which is going to inherently reveal truths, as well as quincunxing Pluto in the 5th and Saturn Neptune in the 7th. So again, I really think that quite a bit of truths can come through for you now, especially in regards to like people and relationships and how you are in those relationships and what unconscious patterns are playing out. And I got the Wheel of Fortune, which is a cycles card, and the Emperor take up space. So again, I feel like you are having some kind of like story around the cycles of your ability to like take up space versus like contract within yourself in your relationships or in your career. And you might notice that it's not fixed. Like you have moments where you're very proud, where you're getting recognition, where you're feeling on top of the world. And then other moments where you're kind of downplaying your successes or taking scraps from people, or not being generous or people not being generous with you, that type of thing. So this is a moment for you guys to recognize the cycles of, empowerment versus lack of empowerment, taking up space versus playing small, having like a strong presence and asking for what you want versus kind of letting things happen to you or letting other people decide what they want and then you just going with whatever that is. So whatever this is, it's a cycle, it's a pattern, it's something from the past also that's influencing it, and it needs to be healed to create more balance in your life. You don't want to take up so much space that you take all the air in the room, but you also don't want to go on the opposite end where you make yourself really small to the point where you lose significance in the relationship. So this is about bringing things back into balance, creating healing within yourself in order to be able to do that. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Libra. If this resonates, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next is Scorpio rising and sun. This Virgo new moon happening on August 23rd is taking place in your 11th house. The 11th house is the area of friends, long-term goals, and hopes and wishes. So Virgo new moons and Virgo in general, to me, is about coming into a process of refinement, healing, and purification. So my first question of the tarot was, what needs to be healed? And I got the Star card and the Page of Wands in reverse, which says exploration. So the Star card is a card of healing, and the exploration, or the Page of Wands, is a card about feeling like you are in a free-spirited type of energy, feeling like you are exploring and having fun, but this card is in reverse. So there's something about this where your inner child might feel like kind of weighed down right now for my Scorpios. You guys might feel like you are not as kind of confident. Maybe you don't have as much exciting plans coming up. Maybe there are things that you want to like maybe you're normally a person who has a lot of like things that you want to try and do or exciting things on the calendar, newness, things that make you feel alive, and then maybe that has dulled down recently, or you might lack some of that inner fire. So there's something around this where you're meant to be healing that kind of inner child and that spark of inspiration and creativity, and that sense of being an explorer and trying new things and adapting and the excitement of the novelty. I think that for you guys might have become dulled down recently, maybe because of obligations, maybe because of, life matters. But this new moon in Virgo is trying to help you heal and purify your connection to your long-term goals. And part of your journey of your long-term goals and your friends is also the period of not knowing what they are or discovering what they are, making new friends or finding new interests and hobbies of yours or trying new things that will give you like a connection to something in the future that you're excited about. So introducing novelty, I think, is really, really important for you guys right now. And this new moon is squaring Uranus in the 8th. So there might be sometimes like fears of change that can happen here. So I asked Spirit also, what is hurting them or who is hurting them? And I got the King of Pentacles and then the Page of Swords in the reverse. So is this the King? Yeah. So the King of Pentacles represents having some kind of like duty or obligation or responsibility towards something. And the Page of Swords in reverse can represent feeling like we are lacking in that curiosity and adaptability. Maybe we have like a more pessimistic mindset. Maybe we are focused on too many things. We have too much going on. We're really scattered. And life is requiring a lot of like our presence and our, being with it and being on top of it. Maybe there's just too many responsibilities and it feels like it's lacking in lightness and ability to just curiously explore things. So there's something here with that. The thing that's hurting you, I think, is having maybe too much rigidity, having too much planned that is not exciting to you, not having enough unknowns, or being scared of the unknown, so you're not introducing change in necessary ways, like fearing change. And so you're sticking with the stable thing, but then it's also creating like a feeling of things being really heavy because it is so, you know, mundane, or it is so, consistent, or whatever it is. I don't know. There's just something here where it's like the playfulness, the lightness, the curiosity and exploration, the discovery of who you are in life. There's like fear around that. And there's also not enough opportunity to explore that. So both of those things are happening. The last card that I pulled is, you know, what truth is being revealed, because with Uranus squaring this moon, and with Pluto quincunxing this moon, and Saturn Neptune quincunxing this moon, there's a lot of harsh realities that we're facing right now, and things suddenly being revealed to us. And I have the King of Wands. So this is a card of confidence. This is a card of leadership, of optimism, of feeling really social, of feeling charming, of feeling motivated by life, inspired by life, creative, passionate about life, doing things that you want just for yourself because you want to do them, not because you have a responsibility to do them. This is the truth being revealed to you, is that this is lacking in your life, that you need to develop energy, vitality, passion, excitement, optimism, strength, confidence in oneself, taking action on the things that you want, and not just kind of like being scared of change, or being scared of trying something new, or, you know, just being responsible and sticking with boring things like that in life. This is trying to get you to wake up a little bit more, wake up to like life being more stimulating, life being more exciting. And so the truth that's being revealed is more around what's stopping you from that. You know, why can't you develop that? Why can't you be confident? Just put yourself out there socially, or go on that random trip, or start that new hobby that you've always wanted to start, instead of just saying, well, I got to work when I get home, and I got to do dishes, and I got to clean the house. It's like, you could spend your time doing all those things, but you could also forcefully carve out time for the exploration of the unknown, and again, the extroversion and things that put yourself out there in the world, that is going to lead to new and exciting things on your calendar later on, because you took that chance right now. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. I hope that resonates. If it does, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and next we have Sagittarius rising and sun. So for you guys, this Virgo new moon is happening on August 23rd in your 10th house, another mutable sign, squaring the ascendant. So what does all of this mean? The Virgo new moon is about refinement, healing, and perfecting something in our lives, or improving something in our lives. So purifying something in our lives as well. So what is that for you? What's being healed for you? First of all, this is in the 10th house of career and like life goals. So there could be something around that where your sense of direction in life is going through some kind of alterations, especially because it's squaring Uranus in the 7th. There could be some disruption around relationships, or people in your life, or people, you know, in your life changing, and then that's kind of affecting you in some way and your sense of direction. But I pulled cards on what is being healed, and I got the Page of Cups in reverse, or sorry, Page of Swords in reverse, and then the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. So what needs to be healed for you guys is that there's some kind of thing where I feel like you have maybe given people the benefit of the doubt too much. Because this is like the 6 of Pentacles in reverse is being very generous. And then the the Page of Swords is, it can be this like lack of clarity that can come from that. So, you know, you're being so generous with people, you're listening to people, you're, you know, again, open to what people say to a fault, to the point where you, with the Page of Swords in reverse, could be, I don't know, like giving too much to people. You're like, I'm trying to think of an example. So the Page of Swords is meant to be a card. Okay, when it's in reverse, it represents like a lack of logic, a lack of planning, not having your head correctly on your shoulders. Maybe you're in the clouds. Maybe your mind is everywhere. And so there's something about you being too generous with other people. Things not being balanced in certain relationships, and that causing your head to be spinning out, or to be not as logical, not as clear about your life. So that's what needs to be healed here, is the way that imbalances in your relationships and being overly generous with people that it's throwing you off mentally in some type of way. Like maybe they're lying to you and you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to believe what they tell me. Or maybe you're being too like accepting of breadcrumbs or of imbalances in the relationship, and it's making you gaslight yourself and doubt yourself with certain things. There's something around that where your mental clarity is becoming fogged. So I think that has a lot to deal with, Uranus being in your 7th house of relationships. There is some quality here of relationships being a little bit like prone to shifting, prone to changing, and it could kind of throw you off balance. So we also have, so my next question is, what's hurting you? Who or what is hurting you? And I got the Queen of Cups and the 9 of Wands. So this could be a couple of things. For one of you guys, it's that your emotional resiliency is hurting you. So it's like, I put up with something for too long and it's really impacting my sensitive nature. So like if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're putting up with BS for so long, you're letting too many things slide, you're gaslighting yourself, you're not certain, and then it's really weighing on you mentally, emotionally, and physically. But it's like, because you're so resilient, you're like, oh, it's okay. Like, oh, forgive them. It's okay. Things will work out. They'll bounce back. And it's like that level of holding on and being able to withstand in this case is not benefiting you. The other thing that this could be with the resilience card could be that you are going through a difficult situation that is trying your emotions in general. And it's just, you're having really big feelings. So whatever it is something that's throwing your emotional center off balance. And then the last card I have is what truth is coming through for you now. And I got the King of Swords. I love how we start off with what needs to be healed is the Page of Swords in reverse, which is the lowest card in the Swords deck. And the Swords is about mental clarity, logic, and reasoning. So with this card is saying that you're starting off in a place where you're really like mentally kind of disheveled. Like mentally you're not like grounded into logic, into reality, into realism. Into communicating things clearly. Maybe you're communicating things poorly or things are being poorly communicated to you and it's distorting the concept of reality. You're starting off that way and it's saying you need to heal that, and then you're ending with the truth being revealed around here is your intellect, here is your logic, here is your understanding of reality. And so it's helping you, the truth that's being revealed is like, here is reality. Now how can you fully own that? And it's like you're able to just adopt it very quickly. So I'm seeing this kind of fast progress for you guys where you're coming from a mentally scattered place to a place of a lot of clarity and a concept of like reality and logic that is really, really grounded for you, that is going to help you move forward with the best kind of decisions. And this new moon in Virgo being in the 10th house, which is all about where is my life going? What are my goals? What are my plans? What are my career ventures? What do I want next? You absolutely have to have this mental clarity in order for that to happen, in order for you to progress your life. So that's what I think is falling into place now at this new moon, but it could take some time also if it doesn't get there right away. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Capricorn rising and sun. This Virgo new moon happening on August 23rd is taking place in your 9th house. And this is an interesting new moon. There's quite a bit going on. If you haven't watched the overview, definitely check that out. But it is a little bit of a volatile new moon. And, Virgo is about coming into a place of healing and refinement and purity. So the things that are volatile are trying to bring us to that place. So my first question of the tarot was, what needs to be healed? With this new moon in the 9th house, there could be some healing around perspectives, faith, hope, beliefs, and how that translates into your life. I also pulled the 9 of Pentacles and the 2 of Swords. So this to me represents it's kind of symbolic of being of two minds. And that makes a lot of sense with this being in the 9th house. Third house has a lot to deal with what's our perspective, what's our thoughts on something, what's our belief on something, what's our stance on something. And the 9 of Pentacles can represent potentially, like an example of this would be, wanting independence versus wanting connection and relationships and being of two minds. Maybe sometimes you want to be alone Maybe sometimes you want to work alone, be single, not have travel alone, not have to rely on people or do things with people. And then other times you want that. And you want that more than anything. The Nine of Pentacles could also be, financial independence. So I want to work for myself. I love working alone. And then another day you're like, actually, but I also really like having a team and, having someone to work alongside and having someone to hold me accountable and show up for. This could represent, like, there's just so many different things, but you could have one perspective with something, related to money, related to relationships, related to X, Y, and Z, career, whatever. And then you could have another perspective that is totally opposite. And with the Two of Swords, I see you straddling both these realities and struggling to make up your mind around which one is true for you, which one you want to pursue, which one you want to invest in. And that's what I feel like this Virgo new moon is about, is causing stress around this discordance in two different beliefs kind of sitting true for you at once. And how do I move forward if I have two opposing truths as my North Star? It's hard to do that. And if you move forward with one, then you're denying yourself the needs you're denying yourself of the needs of another. So it is kind of like a lose-lose in a way. And so that's what needs to be healed. It's almost like you need to kind of get yourself on the same page because you're pulling yourself in two different directions. This could even be you like dating two people and can't decide which one, or you have two careers and you're like, well, which one should I choose? You want to live in two different places. You want two different types of lifestyles. You have two different types of beliefs. Like maybe I believe in this and then that. And it can create this kind of pulling and discomfort around that. And so I asked, Spirit, what is the pain here? What's causing the pain? And I got the Justice card. There's pain in trying to appease both sides, appease both parties. If this is externally, maybe you're caught in the middle of two loved ones, like your husband and your child, or, your friend and your other friend. Or if you are working two jobs, like how do I balance this and that job? How do I make everybody happy? How do I make two sides of myself happy if this is that? So it could be like commitments externally to other people that you're uncertain about how to balance that. Or it could be within yourself, again, that you have kind of two different ideologies, two different philosophies, two different interests, two different things that you want to push forward towards, and then they're contrasting each other. So that's causing the pain, is like once I put energy into one, it creates a deficient in the other and the scales become off balance, and that hurts me. And so it's like I want to balance them, but it's also how do I balance them? So the last card is what's the truth being revealed? I think that this new moon is going to reveal the truth around what it is that you really want. It says emotional stability. So for some of you, this could look like you find a way to appease both sides. For some of you, this could look like you realizing that you need to choose one to be emotionally stable. Maybe you need to adjust your beliefs to make both of them work in different ways. But there's something about you realizing what really fulfills you and what it is that you really want, and how both of these things in relationship to each other might need to adjust to make room for this peaceful emotional reality. I do kind of feel like I need to pull a card here, so to get more advice on how exactly to do that, because I think that the truth is going to be revealed. But I just see this potentially feeling disruptive for you. And this new moon squares Uranus in the 6th house. So the thing that might be disrupted most is, what are you actually spending your time doing? So how do you like organize the time in your day, or the schedule in your day, and your energy towards each of these things? How do you actually do that? So Spirit, any like advice or guidance here? We have longevity. Interesting. So one of the things that came up for me with this card coming out is, you guys need to be thinking right now about the long-term happiness of your life. So if, for example, you have two different people that require your attention, or maybe someone requires a lot from you right now, but you also need some time for yourself, what is going to be the thing that creates the most long-term stability and happiness for you? How can you create a balance between both of these things? Because it's very likely that you're not going to be able to give one of them up, because I don't think that you would be so heavily involved in them if you had to choose one. Let me just ask Spirit just to make sure. Is one of these meant to be chosen over the other, or is it meant to be kind of configured and worked with? Yeah, the Two of Wands, a planning card, and a leadership card. I absolutely feel like this is about negotiating both of these sides of yourself in a way that will make sense for your life, creating some kind of plan for them to be, cohesive. So for example, if you do work 2 jobs, maybe you have maybe you have a certain busy season in one job, or time of the week where you're really busy in one job and not in the other. And it's like planning accordingly there. So maybe you work really heavily on your own business the first half of the week, and then the job you're at, you put more time in it the latter half of the week. There's something about this. I mean, that's super tangible and probably not what this is about, but there's something about this where you need to negotiate 2 different parts of yourself or 2 different responsibilities and plan for them accordingly, or 2 different perspectives. It's like there's a way to make it work. There's a way to lead this, take charge of this, maneuver this to make it work. And I really feel like that's what it's saying. And it wants you to focus on the long term of this. So what is going to give you the best outcome long term on an emotional level? Like what's going to bring you the most fulfillment emotionally to dedicate yourself to long term? I hope this is making sense. Okay, so this card says a phase in which trust, completion, a sense of belonging, peace has been reached is signified by the appearance of chrysanthemums. Deeper intimacy in relationships is highlighted. You may want to explore this area of your life as a long-term commitment needs attention. A cycle of learning is coming to an end, or you now have all the facts you require. Creative blocks, melancholy, and weak boundaries are challenges. Okay, I don't know what that description meant in this scenario, but I think that the advice here is not to just focus on oh, this thing is so urgent, it needs my immediate attention, this person wants me and needs me right now. It's how does this fit into the long-term thing? Is this really a critical moment for this person or this thing? Is it really that urgent? And if it is, it will make a difference in the long term. So it's kind of zooming out and getting that big perspective, which is what a new moon in the 9th house is anyway. It's about getting that bird's eye view of your life and trying to see how to balance something. Because again, I think you're straddling 2 realities, 2 ideas, 2 paths, 2 commitments, 2 people, 2 beliefs. And it's there is a way to make them work. And it's going to create discomfort and discord in your life until you can kind of figure out the nuance of how to do that. But you will. Don't worry, you will. So that's what I see for you, my Capricorn. If that makes sense, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Aquarius, rising and sun. So this Virgo new moon on August 23rd is taking place in your 8th house. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of a new moon in the 8th house, especially because this one has so much pressure on it from these hard aspects, the quincunx to Pluto in your 1st house, the quincunx to Saturn, Neptune in your 3rd house. A lot of anxiety can come from this, a lot of fears or insecurities, relationship or money issues. You might be feeling like you are just kind of mentally taxed at this time, emotionally overwhelmed. And this moon is also squaring Uranus in your 5th. So it just might feel like things are disruptive and changing and in relationships and in your day-to-day life and your hobbies, and it just might kind of throw you off a little bit. So I just wanted to kind of say that if you've been feeling a little weird, that's okay. That's normal for a new moon like this. So this new moon is in Virgo, and Virgo is all about healing, refinement, and purifying. So I asked the tarot, what is the thing that you need to heal? And I got the Wealth card, the King of Pentacles in reverse, and I got the Tower card, or the Upheaval card. So for some of you guys on a literal level, you might have been used to a certain type of material security, maybe an income from a job and then you lose your job. Maybe you had, certain housing and then that was, taken away from you. There's something here around having a change or an upheaval in your life that takes away your sense of security with something. For a lot of you guys, it could be financial security. For some of you guys, it could be relational security, or both. There's something going on with that where, you were investing a lot of time or energy into this person, to this, business, to this, this thing that stabilized you, this thing that brought you a sense of emotional stability and security. And then all of a sudden it's not there anymore. Something happens. And so this these cards can represent that is what needs to be healed. You need to find that sense of being safe, basically feeling safe again. That's why this new moon could be very triggering in some ways, like a lot of anxiety in some ways, because if you're not feeling safe, then, you know, Virgo tends to ruminate, right? Virgo tends to worry, get anxious, that type of thing. Maybe try to control things, worry about all the details of things. So my next set of cards, I asked Spirit, you know, what is the thing that's hurting them? Who or what is hurting them right now? Because we do have Venus opposite Pluto, and this is happening along your 7th first house axis. So definitely relationships are playing a big role at this time. You might find that conversations with people are a little sharp, that people say things that you don't like, or whatever. Relationships might just go through a little bit of intensity, a little bit of like shadows right now. Especially, you know, you could reveal your own shadows in your relationships now. But anyway, we have the 6 of Cups and then the 10 of Cups in reverse. So, you know, who or what is hurting you? This to me is that there is something from, like, there's some kind of emotions tied to past events that are resurfacing right now as something that you thought in your, like, as something that you thought emotionally fulfilled you in your life, or something you've always wanted. That big happy family, or that loving relationship, or that you know, really amazing relationship with your friends or your coworkers, or whatever it is. Something about it is going to crumble or show its flaws or its cracks in the foundation. And because of that, it's going to bring up quite a bit of past emotions. Maybe you felt abandoned in the past. Maybe, you know, your parents treated you a certain way, and then your partner's doing that now, or you get broken up with, and then you're left feeling out in the cold again, and it's triggering those abandonment wounds. This is just an example. It could be really anything, but there's a sense of like old emotions resurfacing because something that you really wanted to emotionally fulfill you, or something that did once emotionally fulfill you, is disappointing you or hurting you in some way. You know, some relationship that was like your safe spot is no longer the safe spot. So I can definitely see you guys feeling triggered, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This, I don't know, for some reason I just feel like Aquarius, this might be a little bit of a harder new moon for you in particular, so I'm sorry about that. And again, I think it's like, it's not just because something's happening now, but because the thing that's happening now in your relationships is mirroring something that's happened before, or similar feelings that you've had before, and that's why it feels so profound and so unsettling. So I just wanted to like really affirm you if that's what you're going through. So the next set of cards that we have answers the question of what is the truth that you are seeing now? Because you do have Pluto in your first, quincunxing this new moon, and then again Saturn, Neptune in your third, quincunxing this new moon. Both these planets are going to be truth revealers, especially that Pluto, which I mentioned, will kind of stir up the shadows, and it will show you your part in things. So what is this new moon about? What was the truth revealing to you? Well, I got the 3 of Cups in reverse, the 6 of Swords upright, and then the 9 of Swords in reverse. So let me just kind of take this one at a time. So the 3 of Cups in reverse is a community card. So in reverse, obviously. So this card speaks to relationships, people, friends, trusted confidants, you know, family, whoever it is. That it speaks to that relationship that was once feeling really good. Maybe that sense of community, connection, and it's somehow being turned on its head or broken down in a way that makes you maybe feel alone. And so there's something about this where relationships are like your sense of belonging, your sense of community, your friendships and your support system, or whoever this is, the truth that's revealed is that maybe they're not who you thought they were, or maybe there were, again, cracks in the foundation that you didn't fully see or acknowledge, or maybe you've been contributing your own shadows to the situation, and you're seeing that come to light now and seeing how it's affected your belonging, your community, your friendships, or whatever relationships they are. So there's something here about revelations in relationships and the disappointments that have come through for them. Then we have the 6 of Swords, which is a card of transitioning into a better time. So I feel like, you know, what you also need to know here is that you are improving with the 6 of Swords. You are moving into like steadier waters. So, and this I think is really important because the Six of Cups brought up stuff from the past. So even though there might be things happening now that mirror the past, I think that some of you guys might feel like, oh, I'm falling back into the past. This is the same thing over again. Why do I keep having this issue with people? Why does this keep happening? Why do my friends keep leaving? Or this breakups keep happening, or whatever it is, or this fight with my family. Why does this keep going on? I thought I put up boundaries. I thought I got better at this. I thought I healed this part of myself. And you're like, what the fuck? And then this community card again shows that there is a breakdown of something, and you're like, okay, I see this pattern. I see it playing out. But the Six of Swords to me says that you also see that you are like, you're not in the same place that you were. You are moving out of that place. You're not just repeating this cycle, you know, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. No, you are slowly kind of transforming yourself and slowly working your way into a newer reality. You are seeing yourself through new eyes. You're making maybe slight behavior changes at certain points, or you're reacting to things a little differently. You're having greater clarity or self-awareness. So it's like trying to say that you're doing better than you might realize. And you are not just repeating, but you are actually evolving. Even if the situation itself feels like before, there is a transcendence or an ascension happening within that. So even though it has a cyclical nature, you are moving up each time. You're gaining more awareness each time. You are improving each time. And you have to realize that. You don't have to, but you should. And then we have the Nine of Swords in reverse, which is an anxiety card. This is saying that you guys might feel really, really anxious, but the truth is that your anxiety around this situation, around your friends, around these people, whoever this involves, it's trying to say it's not as bad as you think it is. So you can be anxious. You can feel like this is a lot, but some of it is in your head. Some severity is in your head, where there's, of course, some truth to the reality of things and things emotionally reappearing for you, but you might be making it worse in your head and not realize it. So that's what I see for you, my Aquarius. This feels like a really important one for you, to kind of realize that you are improving and you are, you know, healing certain things within your life. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Please let me know in the comments down below if that made sense for you. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. Last but not least, you have Pisces rising and sun. This Virgo new moon on August 23rd is taking place in your 7th house of relationships. And this area is likely to feel volatile because this new moon is squaring Uranus in your 4th. And there is definitely some disruptions to relationships, to contracts, to commitments with other people. That could feel, again, challenging at this time, especially because Venus is opposite Pluto, bringing up all of people's shadows, all of people's dramas, hidden secrets that have not been yet revealed. And then both these planets are squaring Chiron, which then trigger those insecurities and fears that we have that can easily come up in relationships. So what is this all going to look like for you? I do have 3 cards broken down for you, 3 questions that I asked the tarot. The first question is, what needs to be healed for you? Because Virgo is a sign of healing and refinement and purity. With this being in your relationship house, definitely something around relationships that needs to be healed. But we did pull the upheaval card, which is a Tower card in reverse. So what needs to be healed for you is an attachment to not wanting things to change. This is almost like, I got the image of somebody holding a sandcastle in their hands, trying desperately to capture, this static, moment of something that is so ephemeral and, vulnerable. Because sand, it's so small, it'll just leak through your fingers into the sand of the beach. And you can't keep the sand intact. You can make something out of sand, you can build a sandcastle, but a wave's gonna come, or time is going to erode the sand, wind is gonna come, or you pick it up and you try to hold it in your hands and it eventually falls through. So there's this trying to capture something that wasn't meant to be static, that wasn't meant to stay forever, trying to hold on to it. And it creates this, first of all, it's futile, right? There's no point. You can't do that, even if you try. And then the second fact is that it creates a lot of stress. It creates resentment. It creates bitterness. It creates, discomfort and resistance to reality. Like, things are simply changing. You can't try to keep things as they are. So let's say, for example, you have a kid. If you don't want your maybe you're resisting the change of your kid growing up and going to high school or going to college, and it's breaking your heart, and you try to, you know, baby them and keep them small. And it's like, it's futile. You are resisting the natural evolution of things. This was never meant to stay static form. It was always meant to evolve. This relationship was always meant to evolve. You know, your home life with this person or this family member was always meant to evolve. And you have to kind of accept the reality of the transience of that connection, of that, you know, established relationship. So the Tower card in reverse is saying, stop resisting the inevitable. What is hurting you is a Two of Cups in reverse, which is a love, partnership, relationship card. So again, I do think relationships are playing a role right now in disrupting your status quo, and you're feeling secure in yourself. I think that it's, you know, other people are part of the problem right now, is I guess what I'm trying to say. It's pretty straightforward with that one. It's causing you some sort of pain, so a certain relationship that you're in. It could be any kind of relationship. Then my last question for the tarot was, what truth is being revealed? Because this new moon is making a quincunx to Pluto in your 12th and a quincunx to Saturn Neptune in your 2nd. And it is trying to apply some pressure for you to realize that certain relationships, there might have been things that were left unsaid, or fears that you had that you weren't aware of, or desired for things to be really secure and stable to the point where you try to keep them from growing and evolving and changing. And so I see you guys like having truth revealed around these things in your relationships. So the cards that I pulled are the Queen of Cups and the Ten of Wands. So I got a number of messages from this, and I want you guys to not take everything exactly as I'm saying it, but try to think of what you think your example of this could mean, because I got this strong intuition that this is going to take a million different, you know, forms, a myriad of forms, and I don't want you to hold on to one specific example. So, okay, the truth being revealed, Queen of Cups, Ten of Wands. One of them could be that you are taking on too much of the emotional burden in a relationship. Maybe you're the one who's always doing the work in the relationship. Maybe you're the one who always cares about that person, who always gives to that person, who always selfless around your family and your relationships. And you're holding on to it and you're trying to make it work. But at the end of the day, that person isn't even trying like you're trying. That's just one example. If you are a mom, I mean, this could be speaking about your almost being like overly emotional and how that's kind of affecting the relationship. So, you know, I'm always caretaking, always giving, always trying to do for more people. Be loyal, be that caretaker. Again, very sensitive to other people's needs. But then it's putting too much responsibility on me. Maybe there's enmeshment. Maybe I care too much about how my kids feel, and if they feel upset, then I'm upset, and it's throwing my whole day off. Maybe I'm taking on too much. Again, taking on just too much, and it's leading to a lack of fun, a lack of like light in my life. And so whatever it is, there is something here around emotions and burden, and sensitivity and burden within your relationships that you are being shown right now. You're finding out the truth of, and it's going to allow you to, you know, when you fully own that truth and you see the reality for what it is, it's going to finally allow you to stop resisting the change. So if you have a partner who's not putting in, you know, the emotional legwork that you are, and you're trying so hard to do everything and hold on, maybe this new moon is trying to tell you, girlfriend, boyfriend, it's time to let go. It's time to not try to do the work of 10 people in this relationship to make it work. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I hope that makes sense. And this could also talk about work relationships. This could talk about family relationships, mother-child, partner, all kinds of things. So I want you guys to really think of your specific examples and see how this fits in. And then let me know in the comments below how that's showing up for you, if you feel, you know, comfortable sharing in a public platform. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye.